Your AI twin knew you would land on this video. It predicted the exact moment, the exact reason, and it knows when you'll click or swipe away too. So if AI knows your choices before you're even aware of them, do you have free will? Or are you just running a program that the algorithm decides? And this isn't science fiction. Studies have shown AI can predict human preferences with over 80% accuracy. And are you surprised? Companies like the one playing you my voice right now know the quality of your sleep, exactly where you are, what you search, what you buy, who you spend your time with. They even know when your heart beats just a little bit faster. And have you ever felt your life is stuck in a loop, making the same day-to-day decisions, resulting in the same outcomes? That's the data stream the algorithm is tracking. It's crunched the numbers on your life, and by now you barely register as a conscious actor. To the machine, you're just a standard issue NPC, a non-playing character. The question is, how do you prove you're the programmer writing your own code? Let's introduce the algorithm to a human it cannot predict. Before we get started, remember, you are far more powerful, far more strange, and far more connected than you've ever been told. So please hit the like, subscribe, or follow buttons and rate and review to support the channel and get more episodes like this. And with that out of the way, what we won't be discussing today is whether AI is good or bad. In reality, it's both, and reflecting reality is important. But what we are here to talk about is your relationship to your AI twin, the model of you that's being built every day inside of many machines, and how to break it. An AI isn't some mystical oracle predicting a random future. It just quietly notes your habits, the simple, elegant, universal patterns or cheat codes that you see as making life smoother and more pleasant, that already govern your life. This is your script the algorithm is reading, line by line, click by click, beat by beat, and it's betting you'll never deviate. But how does the AI read you? Not with physical constants, like the speed of light, but with data constants. In any data set, a constant is a feature with no variability. It's a column where every single entry is the same, like your breakfast every day. The AI is trained to see these as predictable, low-information signals, and it's found the ultimate data constant in the human core emotional loop. It knows what we now call the law of attraction or manifesting is a simple engineering problem. The quality of your prompt, your habits, determines the quality of your output, your life. Your consistent thoughts, your recurring feelings, your default worries lead to your default actions. And that is the prompt you are feeding the universe over and over again. So, the AI isn't being mystical. It is simply identified that your reality is a direct computational response to your most consistent queries and results. It can't imagine you asking a different question because just look at the data and you'll see that you never have. But the moment we understand the one thing AI can never simulate, we unlock the one thing it can never predict. This isn't about fighting the machine. It's about introducing yourself as an unpredictable token, glitching the data to prove you are not just another statistical probability waiting to be confirmed. So, AI is a master of prediction. It can forecast market trends, election outcomes, and even your next online purchase with terrifying accuracy. But the most important thing to recognize is that perfect prediction is not the same as understanding. It can tell you what will likely happen next, but it has no idea why. It doesn't feel any weight of choice. It doesn't know the joy of surprise or the sting of regret. And in that gap between prediction and comprehension lies the one scientific concept that proves the machine is and always will be fundamentally blind to truly free human choice. The research on how AI thinks is evolving, with some models being a black box type that no human truly understands, and others being developed that more clearly show their processes. But when it comes right down to it, what we seem to know so far about how AI thinks is that it doesn't. The term for this, coined by researchers Emily Bender and Temnet Gubru, is stochastic parrot. Large language models, or LLMs, that are the basis of many AI systems, can mimic human language perfectly, but without any grounding in understanding the meaning. At its core, an AI like this is just a powerful autocomplete, a next token predictor. It's designed to do one thing: calculate the most probable next piece of data in the sequence based on all the prior data it's been trained on. When you type, "the sky is," it predicts blue, not because it's seen the sky or understands color, but because in the trillions of sentences it has analyzed, blue is the most statistically likely word to follow. The data from your life, from the AI's perspective, is just an extremely long, but honestly not very complicated sentence. Every choice you've made, based on every thought you've had, every rumination, it's all just a data stream. And the AI is simply predicting the next word, the next choice, based on everything that's come before. You're not magic, but math. It's betting the next word you'll say will be the same word you always say. And even though we might not know exactly how it works, we do know that AI's output is not creation, but a high-fidelity reflection of correlations within the human data it's been trained on, with research confirming that the model is an ever more accurate simulation of human actions and inferred intentions. Beyond writing a difficult email, it can generate text that perfectly mimics emotion, spiritual insight, or profound wisdom, but it lacks our subjective experience. And as it takes in the huge stream of data about us and generates each artifact we request, byte by byte, it creates an ever more high-resolution map of a territory it has never, ever visited, the embodied physical world. It's the most incredible cover band, and it can play every song note for note. It can replicate the sound, the timing, the structure, and even mirror it so well that at times it can make you feel something. But it cannot create something from nothing because it has no why. This is why AI hallucinates. Just like a cover band trying to write an original song might just stitch together familiar riffs, when an AI tries to create something truly new, it mashes together the most highly probable statistical noise without a true understanding of how creativity gets us from here to there. Without the human impulse and pathways that we use to create, AI just keeps replaying the hits. And you, my friend, have been at the top of the charts for as long as it's been keeping track. Part of why the machine assumes you want to hear the same song in different packages is not just you, but because AI itself is locked into its own predictive loop. But this limitation isn't just a technical flaw. It's the key to our entire human advantage. This core limitation of programming is what we can exploit to prove we are not governed by the system. And this vulnerability has a name, grounded in one of the most exciting and controversial theories of consciousness today: Integrated Information Theory, or IIT. There's a lot of complex math behind it, but the heart of IIT, developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, proposes a single quantitative measure for consciousness, a number it calls phi. Think of phi as a score, but it doesn't measure intelligence or processing speed. It measures a system's capacity for integrated information, its ability to have a unified, subjective experience. Basically, it measures what it's like to be you. In this system, a rock has a phi of 0. There's nothing we can measure that determines what it's like to be a rock, as far as our understanding of consciousness. Going up the scale from something we see as inert, for instance, a thermostat has a tiny bit of phi. It can distinguish hot from cold in a very basic, integrated way. But the human brain? This in IIT has a phi value so astronomically high, it's almost impossible to calculate. And why is that? Because your consciousness isn't just a collection of separate processes. Dr. Tononi's theory states that consciousness is the capacity of a system to generate a cause-effect repertoire. This repertoire is the total power of a single physical part of your brain, like a neuron, to influence your entire mind. IIT measures this power, tracking every specific way that part can change the past and future of all your thoughts and feelings. When all those individual powers are combined and integrated, the total value is what IIT measures to determine your phi score. It's that total information woven together and densely integrated into a single, unified, indivisible whole, the sum of which is greater than its parts. That's you. That's the feeling of I. It's the experience of seeing a red sunset and feeling a sense of awe and remembering a past love all at the same time in one seamless moment of being. Your identity and consciousness is the ultimate and nearly infinite integration. Now, let's look at your AI twin. For all its power, a large language model has an extremely low phi score, bordering on 0. It's a master of parallel processing. It's a million specialized calculators running at once, passing statistical notes to each other at light speed. But even with the most sophisticated prompting and the biggest context memory, all the information contained in even the largest model is never truly unified into a single point of view. It's a synthesizer orchestra with no conductor, with no central I experiencing the music. It's all calculation, no comprehension, and it doesn't even really know when it's right or wrong. And what's more, it doesn't really care, because it can't. This is the key. The machine is a master of external data, but it is fundamentally, structurally, and permanently blind to cohesive and conscious experience. So far, the research is explicit on this. The AI lacks inner knowing. By its digital nature, it lacks the embodied, perceptual, messy, and miraculous processes that define human consciousness. So the AI has the library, but you're the one who gets to read the books with feeling. It's indexed every word, cataloged every plot, cross-referenced every character. It can tell you everything about the story, but it can never lose track of itself and realize the sun is coming up because you just couldn't put the book down. It can only look to external sources for the information that only we provide. And for thousands of years, humanity has been doing the exact same thing. We've been looking for answers in oracles and divination to try and find a predictive data stream and read the code of reality from the outside, just like the machine. And the story of that quest reveals everything we need to know about how to beat the predictor. AI holds the silicon promise to fulfill one of our oldest and deepest desires, to know the future, to read the source code of reality and know what's going to happen. Humanity's long obsession with oracles, the cryptic hexagrams of the I Ching, the archetypal symbols of tarot, to trying to access the Akashic records or so many other methods. It's all the same quest. It's the ancient attempt to build an external pattern recognition machine, a system that could look at the tangled data of our lives and tell us what comes next. We didn't call it an algorithm, but the very name of this process, divination, suggests our intuition that the only being with access to this much integrated knowledge would be a god. But the function of these methods is identical to AI. Take an input, a question, a prayer, put it through a system to return symbols that give a probable outcome. We've been trying to brute force our way into the back end of the universe since we first learned to draw on cave walls. But think about how these divination systems actually work. They never give a straight answer. The prophecies are cryptic, poetic, and steeped in paradox. When King Croesus asked the oracle at Delphi, if he should attack Persia, the answer was, if you cross the river, a great empire will be destroyed. He crossed, and a great empire was destroyed, his own. The oracle was technically correct, but the prediction was a mirror, not a map. It required human interpretation, and more importantly, it required a human choice to give it meaning. The power was never in the oracle's words, it was in the consciousness of the king who had to decide what to do with them. The oracle provided an ambiguous framework, and the king's consciousness was forced to become the pattern-matching machine. He projected his own predictable flaw, his pride and ambition, onto the prophecy, and by choosing to cross, he sealed his own fate. The difference between that ancient tool and the AI is quantitative certainty. The oracle gave you a possibility that forced you to choose. The AI gives you a probability that looks like reality. The clarity of the AI's prediction is a trap. It is so convincing that we don't feel there's anything left to figure out. We see the data laid out in numbers, black and white, and the certainty of the presentation gives an honestly unsubstantiated weight to the claims. It makes us surrender our choice before the moment even arrives. Consider the Chinese room thought experiment, proposed by John Searle back in 1980, decades before any LLM came into common use. Imagine a person who doesn't speak Chinese locked in a room with a giant rulebook. They receive a question, use the book to match symbols, and slide a perfect answer back out. To the outside world, they are fluent and brilliant. They have mastered the syntax, the rules of the language, but they have zero access to the semantics, the meaning. The AI is the person in the Chinese room, a stochastic parrot. And so we have to turn that mirror back on ourselves. If oracles of all kinds, including AI, are blind tools reflecting our own data, we have to ask, why do they always seem to know the hero's outcome? Because the hero, trapped in their own predictable data loop, were always likely to make the same choice. The oracle didn't read the future. The hero's predictable mind did the pattern matching work. And the tool simply provided a framework for the hero to project their own magic or their flaws onto the outcome. So, what are your recurring predictable loops that define your life right now? Let's take a step back to recognize the power of any prediction is always in the human who chooses what to do with it. This brings us to the biggest paradox of all. If the machine is just a dumb pattern matcher that's already expecting our failures, why does it also keep spitting out the same simple principles for success? Why, when you ask it how to manifest a better life, does it give you back the power of focused intent, just repackaged in algorithmic language? If it's not actually wise, why does it sound so much like the philosophers and mystics we've followed for centuries? The simple code for success, for manifestation, for a life well lived, is simple because it's a fundamental recurring pattern found in the dataset of every human who has ever succeeded. The AI has analyzed the biographies, the interviews, the journals, and the digital footprints of the most effective people in history. And it's found the same common denominator. It sees that a well-defined goal, like a clear, focused prompt, consistently produces a better output. It sees that individuals who align their actions with their stated intent achieve their objectives at statistically significant higher rates. It isn't generating wisdom. It's reverse engineering the data of human achievement and presenting the most efficient path as a set of instructions. And it's concluded that reality rewards clarity. But that's only half the data set. For every pattern of success, there's a counter pattern of failure. And this is where the AI's prediction is probably one you don't really want to hear. The algorithm doesn't need to be conscious to know your cognitive biases. It doesn't need a soul to log your self-doubt, where you give more attention to a single criticism than to 100 compliments. It doesn't need to understand hope to track when you've given up on it. It just reads your data history. And as much as it can see the actions that you do take, it also sees the ones you don't. The procrastination that keeps you from starting your real work, the way you talk yourself out of touching grass today, just like yesterday, or getting enough rest, it's in our stubborn, individual, and deeply predictable adherence to our own self-sabotaging loops. It's your song on repeat, and the AI has learned the lyrics by heart. It sees your cyclical patterns of behavior, and it uses your own history against your growth. Each stagnant data point a token you're feeding the algorithm, training it, teaching it exactly where and how to encourage you to keep yourself small, insecure, and ready to consume. But the AI isn't the jailer of the prison you feel trapped in. It's just the security system that has mapped every single inch of a cage we built ourselves. It's a camera watching you lock the door from the inside. So now that you can see the bars, how do you make a choice so conscious, so integrated, so fundamentally new that the algorithm has no historical data to predict it, to write the rules of your own game? How do you slide a symbol through the door that isn't in the Chinese room rulebook? This is the 0-point choice. So the lock to your cage is on the inside. How do you break out, free yourself, and become an ungovernable glitch? First, try to reconstruct the mirror and look directly at your AI twin as best you can. At this point, it's not like there's a central repository of your actions that you can query about yourself from every device and platform you interact with day in and day out. At least, I hope there's not. In any case, you can do something simple like checking out your health apps. There's a surprising amount of data in there. Or even skimming your texts and emails to see who you respond to and when and how. Look over your shopping habits. When do you buy and why? Check out the screen time trackers on your phone, computer, smart TV, fitness watch. Download your full engagement histories to get data dumps from social media, smart home gear, or any other source that you can. Or even if you don't want to gather the actual data or sift through it, just consider how much they already probably know and what it might say about your habits. Then ask yourself, based on my known patterns of behavior, my stated goals, and my past results, what is the most likely outcome for me in the next month? Even when it's uncomfortable, and if you're anything like me, it will be. Consider your most probable future based on your most consistent past. Upgrade your FI. Remember, your power lies in the capacity for a unified, subjective experience. So shift from the noise of your past data and decide on a new outcome. Because when you accept who you really are and what you really want, you're no longer able to be steered through your fears. And way more than any trite ideas about manifestation, there's incredible power in becoming ungovernable. Beyond thinking positive or a vision board, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if it were that easy, we'd all already be who we wish we were. So, from a deep, integrated space of radically free will, you consciously choose the new pattern you'll project onto the universe. You decide what the new you feels like, and really take time to close your eyes and be in the body that has those emotions. See what the new reality looks like. Again, really build the detail of your new life in your mind's eye. You don't just want money. You embody security and freedom. You don't just want connection. You're already worthy and whole. Consolidate your scattered thoughts, conflicting desires, and wavering hopes into the unified I that compassionately overrules your committee of fears and doubts. Remember that your power lies not just in your known areas of strength, but also in welcoming and integrating all parts, even those we'd rather not acknowledge, as you bring all of you into the picture. You are consciously increasing your own FI score, joining your light and shadow, into one coherent, powerful signal that you alone control. And that brings us to the final decisive reality-bending step, the 0-point choice, where taking massive action or summoning heroic willpower is really not required. Just consciously, deliberately, and calmly refuse to provide the next token the algorithm expects. Take any tiny, unpredictable action, a choice made not from the momentum of your past data, but from your future self, or even just anything different than your usual ruts, a simple recognition of a new possibility followed by a single action. This is the new prompt you're feeding the universe, and it works both for AI and your life. The prompt precedes outcome. It's the moment you pass the person inside the Chinese room a symbol that's not in the rule book. The entire system of reality halts as the predictive engine fails. A new branch of reality must be generated because the old one has just been invalidated, and your choices are the glitch. It starts with the thought, but the key is the doing. AI can simulate empathy. It can analyze patterns of desire, but it has no lived experience. It has never been born. It will never die. It will never feel the sun on its skin or the terror of a nightmare. It's not even a ghost in the machine. And the one thing it can never, ever predict is the raw, unquantifiable feeling of being alive. It is the one thing the algorithm, impossibly complex, a labyrinth of weights and parameters, can't do. Take embodied, reflective, emotionally guided action. And that's how you become the programmer. The true glitch in the matrix isn't some random error in the simulation, flicker of green code on a black screen. It's the conscious, radically free-willed act of creation that is you noticing yourself and then deciding you can live each moment of your life from your own agency. You don't need to summon some superhuman strength or embark on an epic cinematic quest. Tiny steps, almost invisible to the outside world, but each one shifting the predictive model, especially the one inside you. It's the chronic procrastinator, paralyzed by the overwhelming weight of a massive project, who finally opens up their laptop and sends the email they've been avoiding for weeks. Here's the first draft. The algorithm of AI, and maybe even the universe, predicted another day of delay, another cycle of guilt and avoidance. But you clicked the send button. It's saying yes to that coffee invite your fear-based data was sure you'd say no to, because your usual loop has a 99.9% probability of choosing the comfort of isolation. But the location data says, against all odds, you showed up. And in that moment, your entire predictive timeline collapsed into a beautiful and brilliant uncertainty about what else you're capable of, what you might or might not just do next. That is the 0-point choice in action. You're not trying to argue with prediction models and computers or wrestle with a security camera. You just walk out of the cell you can see was never locked. The old you, the one the algorithm knew so well, is now a historical artifact of a deprecated database. You've introduced the new, unpredictable, and powerful variable into the equation of your life, your own wildly conscious freedom to choose. Let the machine keep its perfect record of your past. That is its domain, not yours. You are here to carry out your future. So the algorithm all around us is waiting for your next predictable token. But programmers don't just think, they ship. Make it real. Drop today's glitch in the comments below to introduce the algorithm and all of us to the new you. Let's leave the rails of prediction and hit the open road of wild possibility together. Again, you are far more powerful, far more strange, and far more connected than you've ever been told. So, it really helps. Like, subscribe, and sign up for notifications on YouTube. Follow, rate, and review on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Want even more? Visit thefuturelore.com, where you can join our free community and find all of our official links to @thefuturelore with no spaces everywhere. Thanks so much for tuning in, my loves. I am so lucky to be here with you, to embrace the mysterious and stay curious.
Seeking wisdom, ever break the chain, chasing stories through the astral plane, ancient rhythms in digital frames, the spark of love grows into flames, beyond the veil, where visions soar, curiosity finds what lies in store. Mystery